Queensland's COVID-19 response appears to be on track. The lockdown in the state's far north was lifted this afternoon after 3 days, and the Brisbane schools cluster remains confined to existing contacts in home quarantine. The first patients have also gone through the state's new vaccination hub, which will ramp up numbers over the coming days. Emily Gramens begins our coverage.
On what would have been the Ekka public holiday, Brisbane's showgrounds have become a mass testing ground. Dozens of cars lined up. Across the river, there was another queue. A new vaccination hub had 1,500 bookings on its first day.
I'm so excited. I found out yesterday that I could get in today, and it was like, no, book me in for the first one I can get in for.
Yeah. I think better to get it done than not doing it. The faster you get is the better.
So I was really looking forward to it. I think I was the first person who made the booking because I did my booking in under like 5 seconds. I was booked it.
How long ago did you register?
Monday night.
This 16-year-old registered on Monday too.
I was always going to get it, and then I guess with the recent outbreak it just sort of pushed it to the front of my mind. So I thought, I think this is the right time to get it if it's available.
We are going to try, of course, to pull in the higher priority people, but I will never ever leave a booking slot vacant. So if we've got spare bookings and there's only teenagers who we can pull in, that's who we'll pull in.
66 people who were vaccinated at Kippa Ring, north of Brisbane, on Saturday morning have been contacted to rebook. An error meant 6 of them may have received an ultra-low dose, which isn't harmful but can affect their level of immunity. The Delta schools cluster now stands at 120 cases. 4 new community cases have been found.
They're all in home quarantine and they have not been out in the community. That is exactly what we want to be seeing.
2 are linked to Brisbane Grammar School, 1 an adult, 1 a student. A third is a student at Brisbane Girls Grammar School. The 4th, a student at Ironside State School.
That cluster does continue to grow as we expected it would.
59 people are in hospital and more than 90 patients are being managed at home. There is 1 person in intensive care with COVID-19. He's linked to the earlier Portuguese restaurant cluster in Brisbane, and he's been in intensive care for more than a month. 62 backpackers and staff spent 2 weeks isolated in a CBD hostel.
It was a bit boring for me. Just kind of like wake up, we get fed, so have breakfast and then kind of hang out. Just chilled with people. I mean, there's not much you really can do.
They're now free to do as they please, after all testing negative. Emily Gramens, ABC News, Brisbane.
Life almost returned to normal in the state's far north this afternoon when the lockdown in Cairns and Yarrabah was lifted. Masks remain compulsory and locals were keen to return to the outdoors and reopen their businesses.
After 3 days locked down, Cairns and Yarrabah are free again. But restaurant owners say the industry is in trouble.
When they closed down Victoria and 3/4 of Australia, there's no travellers, and that's all the market we had to rely on.
Authorities full of praise for the 4,000 residents who were swabbed.
Thank you for coming out and getting tested.
The lockdown was forced when a taxi driver tested positive to Delta after being out in the community for 10 days. He'd caught the virus from a reef pilot who'd been infected while steering a ship through the reef.
But given that we've only had that reef pilot and the taxi driver positive and we've had so much testing, I think it is safe to lift that stay-at-home requirement.
But restrictions will still apply. Masks must be worn at all times. Schools will reopen with all staff and high school students also wearing masks. Only 10 people are allowed in the home, 20 people at weddings or funerals. Businesses and venues are restricted to 1 person per 4 square metres or 50% capacity. And community sports are restricted or banned. Several more exposure sites have been listed.
There's still a risk there, it's low, but it's there.
In nearby Yarrabah, locals are getting back to their normal lives.
We're relieved that the lockdown has been lifted in a way that there's no community transmission as of yet.
There's still a sense of nervousness here in the community, as despite the thousands of tests, many are still yet to receive their results, leaving some to question if it's premature to lift the lockdown just yet. The Premier, though, is confident.
Because we haven't seen any more infections in the community, we are able to lift that lockdown.
Holly Richardson, ABC News, Cairns.